The Silent Strike. The hegemony warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their crystalline hulls catching Earth's sunlight like faceted jewels. Admiral Xerax stood on the command deck of the flagship Eternal Dawn, all four of his arms clasped behind his back in what his species considered a gesture of absolute confidence. The primitive world before him would be his easiest conquest yet. "Status report on their defensive capabilities," he ordered, mandibles clicking in anticipated triumph. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Vez, brought up a holographic display. "Exactly as our long-range scans indicated, Admiral. Primitive kinetic weapons, basic fusion drives, and rudimentary shield technology. Their most advanced vessels barely qualify as interplanetary. They haven't even established a proper lunar colony." Xerax's outer eyes narrowed in satisfaction, while his inner ones focused on the tactical display. The humans had only achieved faster-than-light travel 5 years ago, and that through what appeared to be sheer luck rather than scientific advancement. Their civilization was chaotic, divided into nation-states that barely cooperated with each other. They would make perfect servants once properly subjugated. "Open a channel to their planetary leadership," he commanded. "Let's give them the opportunity to surrender gracefully." Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that didn't officially exist, General Sarah Chen watched the hegemony fleet's arrival on a quantum-entangled display that the aliens didn't know humanity possessed. She allowed herself a small smile as she observed their predictably perfect formation. "They're right where Oracle said they'd be," her eye advisor, HFY, commented through her neural implant. "Probability of them following the predicted behavior pattern, 99.8%. Chen nodded, reaching out to activate the secure global command network. "All stations, maintain emissions discipline. Let them think their scans are accurate." She turned to her second-in-command, Colonel James Rodriguez. "Status of Operation Sleeping Giant. All civilian centers have been evacuated to the underground arcologies," Rodriguez reported. "The surface cities are running on automated systems. Quantum shield generators are powered but dormant. The hegemony still thinks they're seeing regular power plants and industrial complexes." The general's smile widened as the alien transmission came through. On screens across the planet, Admiral Xerax's insectoid face appeared, mandibles spread in what his species considered a diplomatic gesture, but which humans had long ago learned was a sign of contempt. "People of Earth," the alien commander began, his translated voice smooth and confident. "I am Admiral Xerax of the Galactic Hegemony. Your recent achievement of faster-than-light travel has brought you to our attention. We come offering guidance and protection to help your species join galactic civilization properly." Chen watched as the alien continued his rehearsed speech about peace and cooperation. Every word, every gesture, matched what Project Oracle had predicted decades ago. Humanity had been preparing for this moment since they'd first detected encrypted hegemony communications in 1989. While the aliens thought they were observing a primitive species just stumbling into the cosmic community, humanity had been quietly building the most advanced defensive network in known space. "Their ships are moving into standard subjugation formation," HFY reported. "Weapon systems charging, but still contained behind their quantum shields." Chen opened a channel to the civilian government. "Madam President, they're proceeding exactly as expected. Request permission to execute Phase 1. President Helena Martinez's voice came through clear and determined. "Permission granted, General. Show them why you don't judge a book by its cover." The alien admiral was still speaking, his tone growing more condescending with each word. "We understand this may be overwhelming for your limited governmental structures. We will give you 24 hours to prepare your leadership for integration into the hegemony. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate our technological superiority in ways you may find unpleasant." "Now, General," Rodriguez asked, his hand hovering over the activation controls. Chen waited 3 more seconds, letting the aliens settle fully into their attack formation. "Now, Across Earth's orbit, thousands of seemingly innocent communications satellites suddenly transformed. What the hegemony had dismissed as primitive radio equipment morphed into quantum-locked targeting arrays. Solar panels unfolded into crystalline weapon platforms that the alien sensors couldn't even detect. On the Eternal Dawn's bridge, Lieutenant Vez's antennae suddenly stood straight up in alarm. "Admiral, energy signatures, impossible readings. Our sensors must be malfunctioning." Before XRX could respond, the first wave of Earth's defense grid opened fire. Quantum-entangled beams of energy, operating on principles the hegemony had never imagined, cut through their supposedly impenetrable shields like they weren't there. "How?" XRX demanded as his perfect formation dissolved into chaos. "They're primitives. They barely have fusion power." In her mountain bunker, General Chen watched with satisfaction as the alien fleet scrambled to respond. "Humanity has a long history of playing possum. Admiral," she muttered, "maybe you should have studied us more carefully." The silent strike had begun, and the hegemony was about to learn why you should never underestimate a species that had turned paranoia into an art form. Project Oracle. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the heart of Project Oracle, surrounded by quantum processors that made the hegemony's best computers look like pocket calculators. The massive chamber, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Indian Ocean floor, hummed with energy as it processed real-time battle data from Earth's orbital defense grid. "Show me the hegemony fleet's response patterns," she commanded. The AI core projected a holographic display that filled the chamber, tracking every movement of the alien ships as they tried to regroup from Earth's initial strike. "Their tactical responses match our predictions with 97.3% accuracy," reported ORACLE, the quantum AI that had helped humanity prepare for this moment. "They're attempting to establish their standard defensive formation, just as they did during the subjugation of the Centauri colonies." Maya allowed herself a moment of pride. 35 years ago, she had been a graduate student working on quantum computing when she detected the first encrypted hegemony transmission. Instead of announcing the discovery, she and a small team of scientists had worked in secret, developing the means to decrypt and analyze the alien communications. "Execute predictive sequence 17, she ordered. "Let's see if they follow the playbook." The holographic display shifted, showing probability streams of the hegemony fleet's likely next moves. As predicted, the alien ships were attempting to regroup behind Mars, using the planet's magnetic field to shield their communications from what they thought was primitive Earth technology. In his mountain bunker, Admiral James Chen's voice came through the quantum comm. "Dr. Patel, the aliens are moving exactly as you predicted, beginning Phase 2 of the operation." Maya nodded, though he couldn't see her. "Confirmed, Admiral. Deploying the quantum nets now." Across the solar system, hidden quantum satellites activated, creating an invisible web of entangled particles. Any hegemony ship that passed through them would find their advanced systems suddenly speaking directly to Earth's defense network. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, Admiral Xerax was trying to understand how everything had gone so wrong. "Report," he demanded. "How are they penetrating our shields?" Lieutenant Vez worked frantically at his console. "Unknown, Admiral. Their weapons. They're operating on principles that violate our understanding of physics. The humans couldn't possibly." His voice cut off as their ship passed through one of the quantum nets. Suddenly, every system on the Eternal Dawn began responding to human commands. Weapon systems powered down, engines died, and their supposedly unhackable quantum core started transmitting all its data directly to Project Oracle. "This is impossible," Xerax raged. "They're savages. We watched them for decades. Their technology was primitive." Deep in her underwater command center, Maya smiled as she accessed the alien flagship's systems. "You watched what we wanted you to watch, Admiral," she murmured. "While you were observing our surface technology, we were studying everything about you." The quantum processors around her churned through centuries of hegemony tactical data, predicting their every possible move. Project Oracle had spent decades analyzing alien psychology, technology, and military doctrine. The hegemony thought they were dealing with a primitive species that had gotten lucky with FTL technology. Instead, they were facing an enemy that had been preparing for this confrontation since before they even knew Earth existed. Dr. Patel, ORACLE, announced, "The hegemony fleet is attempting to transmit a distress signal to their central command." "Let them," Maya replied. "Execute Protocol Babel." Throughout the solar system, quantum entangled processors activated a program that humanity had spent 20 years perfecting. Every hegemony transmission was instantly translated, analyzed, and transformed. By the time their distress calls reached hegemony space, they would appear to be routine status updates, transmitted in perfect alien encryption that even the hegemony's best quantum analysts wouldn't suspect had been tampered with. In orbit around Mars, the alien fleet was in chaos. Ships that tried to jump to hyperspace found their navigation systems compromised, sending them exactly where Earth's defense grid wanted them. Vessels attempting to fight back discovered their weapons targeting their own allies. Update from General Chen, ORACLE reported. The hegemony's remaining ships are gathering in Sector 7, exactly as predicted. They're preparing to deploy their quantum cascade weapon. Maya's expression hardened. The quantum cascade was the hegemony's ultimate weapon, capable of disrupting atomic bonds across an entire planet. They had used it 3 times in their history, against species that resisted subjugation. "They never learned," she said quietly. "All these centuries of conquest, and they never realized that somewhere, sometime, they would encounter a species that saw them coming." She opened a channel to all Earth defense commands. Execute Protocol Prometheus. Across Earth's orbital grid, weapons platforms that had remained dormant suddenly activated. They weren't just defensive systems. They were the result of 30 years of studying hegemony technology, improved upon by human innovation and desperation. The hegemony was about to learn that humanity hadn't just prepared for this battle. They had spent decades preparing for every possible battle, every scenario, every weapon the aliens might deploy. Project Oracle hadn't just predicted this conflict. It had engineered its own victory before the first shot was ever fired. The real war was about to begin, and the hegemony's worst nightmare was coming true. They were fighting an enemy that knew them better than they knew themselves. The counterattack. Commander Elena Santos watched from the bridge of the TSS Deception as her ship's outer hull shed its civilian disguise. What had appeared to be a simple cargo freighter transformed into humanity's newest class of quantum battleship, its metamaterials rippling like liquid metal as weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments. "All ships, execute Combat Protocol Hydra," she ordered through the quantum-encrypted command network. Around her vessel, 50 other cargo ships underwent similar transformations. The hegemony was about to learn why humans had always been so good at hiding things in plain sight. "They're detecting our transformation," her tactical officer, Lieutenant Marcus Wong, reported. "Hegemony vessels are breaking formation." They appear confused. Elena allowed herself a grim smile. "They should be. Their tactical doctrine says we shouldn't even understand metamaterials, let alone be able to build ships out of them." On her command screen, she watched as the alien fleet tried to respond to this new threat. The hegemony ships were impressive, their crystalline hulls gleaming as they brought weapons to bear. But they were fighting according to patterns and protocols that humanity had spent decades studying and countering. "Multiple quantum cascade signatures detected," Marcus announced. "They're preparing to fire their planet killer." Elena's expression didn't change. "Right on schedule. Execute Protocol Perseus." Across the solar system, hundreds of quantum entanglement nodes activated simultaneously. The massive energy web that humanity had spent 20 years constructing lit up, invisible to normal sensors, but blazing bright on quantum scanners. As the hegemony ships fired their cascade weapons, the energy was caught, redirected, and amplified through the quantum network. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, Admiral Xerax watched in horror as his fleet's most powerful weapons were turned back against them. The quantum cascade, designed to tear planets apart at the atomic level, instead rippled through his own ships, their supposedly invincible crystalline hulls shattering like glass. How? He demanded, mandibles clicking in distress. Their technology, it's impossible. They shouldn't even understand quantum mechanics at this level. Alina's voice came through on all frequencies, broadcast in perfect hegemony standard. You made a fundamental mistake, Admiral. You assumed that because we didn't show our advanced technology, we didn't have it. The TSS deception moved forward, its quantum drives allowing it to dance through space in ways the hegemony had thought physically impossible. Similar ships emerged from hiding spots throughout the solar system, behind moons, inside asteroid fields, even from within the sun's corona, protected by fields that the aliens had believed were centuries beyond human capability. All ships, execute attack pattern Omega, Alina commanded. Show them what humanity can really do. The battle that followed would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. Human ships moved with impossible precision, their quantum-linked AI systems coordinating maneuvers that organic pilots could never achieve. Weapons fired through spatial dimensions that the hegemony hadn't even discovered yet, bypassing shields and armor as if they weren't there. Commander, Marcus reported, the alien fleet is attempting to retreat. Their remaining ships are charging their FTL drives. Alina nodded. Let them run. Activate the quantum beacons. Throughout the solar system, hidden transmitters powered up, sending targeted quantum pulses that would follow the hegemony ships through hyperspace. Each vessel that escaped would carry with it invisible quantum tags, allowing Earth to track their movements across the galaxy. Message from Project Oracle, her communications officer announced. Dr. Patel reports that the quantum infiltration of hegemony systems is complete. We now have access to their entire military network. Alina opened a channel to Earth Command. General Chen, Phase 3 is complete. The hegemony fleet is in full retreat, and our quantum trackers are in place. Should we proceed with Phase 4? The general's response was immediate. Proceed, Commander. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity isn't just capable of defending itself, we're capable of changing everything. As the remaining hegemony ships flowed into hyperspace, Alina looked at the tactical display, showing the quantum beacons activating across space. Each signal would lead Earth's forces to another subjugated species, another world waiting to be freed from hegemony control. They thought they were coming to conquer us, she said quietly. Instead, they just gave us the keys to their empire. She straightened in her command chair. All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump. The counterattack doesn't end here. It's only just beginning. The human fleet moved into formation, their quantum drives spooling up. They weren't just going to defeat the hegemony. They were going to dismantle their entire empire, using technology that the aliens hadn't even known was possible. The real war was about to begin, and humanity was going to remind the galaxy why you should never judge a species by its appearance. The age of hegemony dominance was over. The age of human innovation was about to begin. Breaking the chain. Grand Archon Xylix of the Hegemony High Council watched in mounting horror as reports flooded in from across galactic space. The quantum encrypted display before him showed system after system falling to the humans' liberation fleet. Species that had been safely subjugated for centuries were rising up, armed with technology that shouldn't have existed. How are they doing this? He demanded, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation. How are they coordinating attacks across such vast distances? His chief scientist, master theorist Vex, manipulated the holographic displays with trembling appendages. The humans, they're using quantum entanglement in ways we never thought possible. They're not just communicating instantly across the galaxy. They're sharing technology, teaching our former servant species how to break free. On the bridge of the TSS Liberation, Admiral Alina Santos coordinated the galaxy-wide uprising. The quantum network that humanity had secretly built throughout their solar system was now being replicated across hundreds of worlds, creating an instantaneous communication and support grid that the hegemony couldn't detect, let alone stop. "Status report on the Proxima Liberation Front," she commanded. Her strategic AI, now evolved far beyond its original parameters, displayed a real-time map of the battle. "The Arcturians have successfully adapted our quantum shield technology. Hegemony forces are retreating from their homeworld." Similar successes reported in 18 other systems. Elena nodded, reviewing the streams of data flowing through her neural interface. When humanity had first detected the hegemony's presence, they hadn't just prepared for defense. They had prepared to free every species the hegemony had enslaved. Each liberated world became another node in their growing network, another ally in the fight against galactic tyranny. "Message from the Centauri Resistance," her communications officer reported. "They've successfully implemented the quantum replication protocols. Their shipyards are now producing vessels that match our specifications." This had been humanity's masterstroke. They hadn't just developed advanced technology, they had made it easily reproducible. Every freed species could quickly build their own quantum ships, their own defense systems, their own means of fighting back. The hegemony's carefully maintained technological superiority was crumbling before a wave of shared innovation. Deep in the quantum networks, Dr. Maya Patil coordinated with resistance scientists from a dozen species. The key was never just the technology, she explained to a group of Arcturian engineers. It was making it accessible, making it something that could spread rapidly once released. "We built our advances to be shared." On worlds across the galaxy, former slave species were discovering that their supposed technological inferiority had been artificially maintained. The hegemony hadn't just conquered them. It had deliberately suppressed their development, keeping them dependent and controllable. "Another hegemony stronghold has fallen," Elena's tactical officer reported. "The Syrians have adapted our quantum disruption fields. Their former master's technology simply stopped working." This was the true power of humanity's approach. They hadn't just built better weapons, they had created systems that could disable and negate the hegemony's technological advantages. Centuries of carefully maintained superiority were being undone by innovations that worked on completely different principles. In his council chamber, Grand Archon Zilix received yet another report of defeat. "They're not just beating us," he realized with growing dread. "They're dismantling everything we built, every secret we kept, every advantage we maintained. They're giving it all away to our former servants." Elena opened a channel to the combined Liberation Fleet, now comprising ships from 24 species. "All forces, execute Operation Avalanche. The hegemony's capital system is now our primary target." Across the galaxy, quantum drives engage. Ships that had once been simple freighters or mining vessels, now transformed into powerful warships, jumped toward the heart of hegemony space. But they weren't carrying just weapons. They were carrying hope, carrying the promise of freedom, and shared knowledge to a galaxy that had lived too long under the boot of supposed superiors. They never understood, Elena mused as her fleet prepared for the final battle. The greatest strength of humanity isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to share, to teach, to lift others up instead of keeping them down. The liberation of the galaxy was entering its final phase, and the hegemony was learning the hardest lesson of all. True power doesn't come from suppressing others, but from helping them rise. Humanity hadn't just brought freedom to the stars. They had brought revolution, innovation, and hope, and there was nothing the hegemony could do to stop it. New dawn. The great crystalline spires of the hegemony capital world shimmered in the light of 3 suns as the combined Liberation Fleet dropped out of quantum space. Ships of 24 different species moved in perfect coordination, their designs as varied as their crews, but all enhanced by human quantum technology. On the bridge of the TSS Unity, formerly the TSS Liberation, renamed to reflect humanity's new role in the galaxy, Admiral Elena Santos stood before representatives from every freed species. The quantum projection system made it seem as if they were all physically present, standing together as equals. "The Hegemony's council chamber lies before us," she said, gesturing to the massive structure that had once symbolized oppression across the galaxy. "But we're not here for revenge. We're here to build something new." The Arcturian ambassador, their crystalline form glowing with determination, spoke first. "Thanks to humanity, we now understand that true civilization isn't built on dominance, but on cooperation." In orbit above them, the remnants of the once mighty Hegemony fleet stood down, their crews having witnessed the futility of resistance across 100 worlds. Humanity's quantum technology hadn't just defeated them, it had rendered their entire philosophy of technological superiority obsolete. Dr. Maya Patel, now speaking from the newly established Galactic Science Council, addressed the gathered representatives through the quantum network. "What we're establishing today isn't just a new political order. It's a new way of thinking about technology, about progress, about what it means to be an advanced civilization." The quantum displays showed scenes from across the galaxy, former hegemony worlds transforming as they embraced shared innovation, species that had been enemies for centuries now working together, sharing knowledge that had been denied to them for generations. "The hegemony's greatest crime," Elena continued, "wasn't just their conquests. It was their suppression of potential. Every species has something unique to contribute, some innovation or perspective that can benefit all. Today, we end the age of hoarded knowledge." Inside the council chamber, Grand Archon Xylix and the remaining hegemony leadership watched as their empire transformed around them. The quantum network that humanity had created was doing more than just coordinating military forces. It was sharing cultural knowledge, scientific discoveries, artistic expressions across the galaxy. "We don't want your surrender," Elena told them, her voice carrying to every corner of hegemony space through the quantum communications grid. "We want your participation in something greater. The age of masters and servants is over. The age of collaboration has begun." The transformation that followed would be studied for millennia to come. Humanity's gift to the galaxy wasn't just advanced technology. It was a new paradigm. The quantum network evolved into a galactic commons where every species could share their discoveries, their art, their dreams. Former hegemony scientists, freed from the constraints of their rigid hierarchy, began collaborating with their former inferiors, leading to breakthroughs that none could have achieved alone. The very crystalline technology that had been the hegemony's pride was transformed, enhanced by combinations with other species' innovations. "Look," Maya said, displaying a galaxy-wide map in the quantum network. Points of light showed where different species were working together, creating new technologies, new forms of art, new ways of understanding the universe. "This is what real advancement looks like." The Syrian representative, their bioluminescent form pulsing with emotion, addressed the council. "For centuries, we were told we were too primitive to govern ourselves. Now we understand. True civilization isn't about controlling others. It's about helping everyone reach their full potential." Elena stood in the center of the former Hegemony Council chamber, now transformed into the headquarters of the Galactic Cooperative. Around her, quantum projections showed representatives from hundreds of worlds, each contributing their unique perspectives to the new galactic order. "Humanity's greatest weapon was never our technology," she declared. "It was our understanding that real progress comes from lifting each other up, not holding others down. The stars belong to all of us, and together we'll reach heights the hegemony never dreamed possible." As the new council convened for the first time, quantum links carried their proceedings to every corner of known space. Species that had once been bitter enemies began sharing their knowledge, their cultures, their dreams. The age of the hegemony was over, replaced not by a new empire, but by something far more powerful, a galaxy united in pursuit of shared knowledge and mutual growth. The humans had come to the stars prepared for war, but they had brought something far more revolutionary: hope. And in the quantum networks that now spanned the galaxy, countless voices joined together to build a future where no species would ever again be called primitive, where every voice could contribute to the grand symphony of civilization. This was humanity's true victory, not the defeat of an empire, but the birth of a dream where every species could reach for the stars together.